Hello all again. Now we are now looking better, a lot better. Thank you for your understanding.
မ agree ကျွန်တော်က interpreter pattern လေးပြန် assign လုပ်ပေးပါဦး
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ assign ပေးပြီးနေပါတယ်ဟုတ်ပေးပြီးသွားပါပြီရှင်
မမီရဲ့ background blur ဖြစ်နေတယ်အမ blur လုပ်တာ
blur လုပ်ရမလဲဟိုဟာလုံး
Okay ရပြီလေးပြမယ် Okay
ဒီခန်းလေးကိုလည်းရအောင်လို့ဟိုပါလာဆိုတော့လေ
ဟုတ်
Okay. So for the so for all the speakers, Mr. Anil Guzani Maimon again, I will ask all of the questions to you from the employer and organization perspective, where mommy and mapye or the breastfeeding mothers, I will ask from the breastfeeding perspective. But I plan to switch the questions, the 2 questions to the employer side and 2 questions to the employee side. You know, it's instead of asking all questions to Anil, Gozani, and Imon, I will ask like 2 questions to Gozani, Anil, and Maimon, and then 2 questions from Mami and Mapye. And all of you have a 1.5 minutes for each question to answer, and maximum 2 minutes. Please be cautious of the time. And in your response to my questions, if you have any additional experiences and information that you would like to add, please feel free to add. Okay. So our agenda, I think our agenda change. We have one more agenda. Our board of director, Dr. said she will be delivering an opening speech only for 5 minutes, and then a live and drive Q&A. She will be delivering the keynote, and then our facilitation session will be started. And for your information, we have pre-received 4 questions for the speakers, and the last question is, the question is from Indonesia Business Coalitions, and the question is asking for several companies have the policy, but the implementations are not as smooth as it is. It is for the breastfeeding practices. So that question, as that question is more related to the policy level, I will ask to that question to Gozani and Anil, not to Maimon. Hope that will be okay for Anil and Gozani.
Okay. Sure, I'm sorry, I'm on mute.
Okay, Gozani.
Maja, only one question. I would take 2 minutes. The rest, I think, it's just about 1 minute.
1 minute?
Only one question I would take. I think it's about 2 minutes. The rest, I'm sure that I complete it in 1 minute.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Me too.
All good.
Me too.
All good. Okay.
Okay, thank you all so much. And as the time is ticking, and it's already 2:05, and nearly 50 attendees are joining now. So let us format today's session. So good afternoon, and warm welcome to our highly anticipated roundtable talk, making a difference at work, supporting working mothers with breastfeeding. I'm April, and your MC of the day, and I'm honored to be guiding you through today's insightful and important discussion. So today we are holding this roundtable talk in collaboration with our partner Life and Thrive in celebration of Breastfeeding Awareness Month 2023, but also to share the insights, experiences, and expertise from our mothers from established member organizations and how they are supporting breastfeeding mothers and how they have established mothers' rooms and the best practices regarding establishing mothers' room and how establishing mother rooms can be a crucial steps towards fostering a family-friendly workplace as well as advancing gender equality. So for your information, to engage you with our speakers and panelists of the day, we have a Q&A session at the end of our talks. So please feel free to utilize our chat box to leave your questions, and I will assist in addressing them. And also, we offer simultaneous interpretation for today. So please select your preferred language at the interpretation option. Without further ado, allow me to provide you with a brief overview of today's schedule. So first, as Major has mentioned before, we will have the privilege of listening to a keynote address by our BCGE board, Dr. Asan. Subsequently, the representative from Life and Thrive, Ms. Quen Lu, will be delivering a keynote speech. And of course, the highlight of today's talk will be the roundtable talk session. So at which our speakers of the day will be exploring different topics of thought-provoking discussions. And finally, we will conclude today's talk with a photo opportunity. So according to agenda number 1, I'm thrilled to welcome our esteemed keynote address speaker, our BCGE board, as well as the CEO of Victoria Hospital, Dr. Asan, to bring a wealth of her knowledge and expertise. Let's welcome Dr. Asan.
အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာနေ့လည်ခင်းပါရှင်ကြားရတယ်ထင်ပါတယ်နော်
ဟုတ်ကြားရပါတယ်ရှင်
ဒီကနေ့ပြုလုပ်တဲ့ BCGE နဲ့ Life and Thrive တို့ကပူးပေါင်းကျင်းပတယ်ပေါ့နော် Making a Difference at Work Supporting the Working Mothers Through Breastfeeding ဆိုတဲ့ဒီ round table talks လေးမှာကျမတို့ဖိတ်ကြားပေးတဲ့အတွက်အရင်ပဲဝမ်းမြောက်မိပါတယ်ဒီနေ့ဆွေးနွေးမဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်လေးရပါတော့ကျမအနေနဲ့ကတော့ဆရာဝန်တဦးအနေနဲ့ဒါမကဘဲနဲ့ကျမတို့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်တွေမှာတာရူညီမျှကြားမှာဒန်းလူညီမျှရရှိရေးနဲ့ကျမတို့ပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်ရေးကိုကျမတို့နည်းနည်းရှာပေါ့နော်တန်ဖိုးထားတဲ့ခေါင်းဆောင်တယောက်အနေနဲ့လေဒီနေ့လုပ်တဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်လေးဒီတကယ်အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေအားလုံးမှာတကယ်ကိုဆွေးနွေးတဲ့နဲ့ဆွေးနွေးရမယ်နဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်လေးအနေနဲ့ကျမသုံးသပ်မိပါတယ်အဲဒါကြောင့်မို့လဲဒီနေ့ round table talk ဆိုဖိတ်ကြားပေးတဲ့ BCGE ကအဖွဲ့အားလုံးကိုကျမကျေးဇူးတင်ကြောင်းပြောချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်BCGE အနေနဲ့ပေါ့ကျမတို့ပုဂ္ဂလိကကဏ္ဍတွေမှာရှိတဲ့စီးပွားရေးလုပ်ငန်းတွေအနေနဲ့မိသားစုအားလုံးနဲ့လိုက်လျောညီတွေရှိတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းဝင်ကိုပေါ်ဆောင်တဲ့အခါမှာအဓိကအရေးကြီးတဲ့တစ်ခုအနေနဲ့ဒီ Mother's Room လိုမျိုးကိုပေါ့နော်မိခင်တွေရဲ့အခန်းများပေါ်ဆောင်မှုအတွက်နည်းပညာဆိုင်ရာပံ့ပိုးကူညီမှုတွေအပြင်အကြံပေးဝန်ဆောင်မှုတွေလည်းစဉ်ဆက်မပြတ်ပံ့ပိုးဆောင်ရွက်လျက်ရှိပါတယ်ဒီလိုဆောင်ရွက်ပံ့ပိုးပေးမှုတွေဟာလုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာမိခင်နဲ့မိခင်တို့တိုက်ကြွေးခြင်းကိုအတွက်အလွန်ကိုလည်းအထောက်အကူဖြစ်စေပါတယ်BCG ကရခိုင်နှစ်တွေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းကျမတို့Mother's Room လေးတွေပေါ်ဆောင်မှုပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုပေါ်ဆောင်ပြီးသားဖြစ်တဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းလေးတွေကို panel talks တွေကျင်းပပေးတာတွေ့ရတယ်ကျမအနေနဲ့လည်း one of the panelists နဲ့ပူးပေါင်းပါဝင်ခဲ့ပြီးပါတယ်နောက်ပိုင်းနှစ်တွေမှာဆိုလည်းတကယ်အလုပ်လုပ်နေတဲ့ working mothers တွေကိုဖိတ်ပြီးတော့ပေါ့နော်မိခင်တို့တိုက်ကြွေးခြင်းနဲ့ work life balance တွေဘယ်လိုလုပ်တယ်လဲလုပ်ငန်းတွေမှာဒီလိုမိခင်အခန်းလေးတွေရှိခြင်းအားရဘယ်လိုအကျိုးကျေးဇူးရှိလဲဆို sharing talks လေးတွေလည်းစီစဉ်ပေးတယ်ပေါ့နော်အခုပြီးခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့မိသားစုတွေရဲ့ပေါ့နော်လိုက်ရောညီထွေဖြစ်မဲ့အလုပ်ငန်းဝင်ပတ်ဝန်းကျင်ကိုပေါ်ဆောင်မှုအရေးကြီးတဲ့ခြေလှမ်းတစ်ရက်အနေနဲ့ BCGE ကသူတို့ member တွေကိုဖိတ်ခေါ်ပြီးတော့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေပေါ့နော် member တွေကိုဒီ Mother's Room ပေါ်ဆောင်မှုရှောက်လွှာတွေခေါ်ယူခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒီလိုခေါ်ယူခဲ့တဲ့အခါမှာသူတို့အဖွဲ့အစည်း၃ခုကိုရွေးချယ်ခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒီအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေကတော့ City Map Holding Limited ရယ် KBZ Bank ရယ် KBS as General Insurance တို့က BCGE ရဲ့မိတ်ဖက်အဖွဲ့အစည်းဖြစ်တဲ့ Life and Thrive တို့နဲ့ပူးပေါင်းပြီးတော့ယခုနှစ် February နဲ့ March လတွေမှာဒီ Mother's Room တွေပေါ်ဆောင်ခဲ့တယ်လို့ကျမတို့တွေ့ရပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုမျိုးပေါ်ဆောင်ပြီးမှလုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာမိခင်တွေအတွက်မိခင်တို့တိုက်ကြွေးခြင်းအတွက်ပေါ့နော်စနစ်တကျနဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်ပေးမယ့်အခန်းတွေပူပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်ဖို့အတွက်အလေးအကျင့်ကောင်းတွေပေါ့နော်ဒီ corporate culture အကောင်းလေးတွေပြုစုပေးထောင်ပေးတာလည်းရောက်ပါတယ်။ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ဒီမိခင်တို့တိုက်ကြွေးခြင်းကမိခင်ရောကလေးအတွက်အလွန်ပဲအကျိုးကျေးဇူးပြုပါတယ်။မိခင်တွေရောကလေးတွေရောဒီအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေအတွက်သုံးပလိပေါ့နော်။အလွန်ပဲအကျိုးရှိတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းဖြစ်တယ်လို့ကျမတို့ကသုံးသပ်မိပါတယ်။ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ဒီမိခင်တို့ဆိုတာကလေးတွေအတွက်သဘာဝပေးတဲ့အာဟာရအလွန်ပြည့်ဝတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီနို့ရည်ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါကိုရရှိတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကလေးတွေအနေနဲ့ကိုယ်ခံအားတွေတက်ပြီးတော့ကျန်းမာရေးဟို infection တွေဝင်လို့ရှိရင်ပုံမခုခံနိုင်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့ရေရှည်လေးနဲ့ပြောမယ်ဆိုရင်ကလေးတွေကအသိဉာဏ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာကိုကျန်းမာဖွံ့ဖြိုးဉာဏ်ရည်တိုးတဲ့ကလေးတွေအနေနဲ့ကြီးပြင်းလာကြမှာပေါ့နော်မိခင်ဘက်ကိုပြန်ကြည့်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လေဒီ working mothers အနေနဲ့ဒီကလေးငယ်တွေရှိလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ကဖိအားတွေရမ်းများပါတယ်မိသားစုအတွင်းမှာရောအလုပ်ခွင်မှာအဲ့ဒီအချိန်မှာမှခုနကလေးငယ်တွေနေမကောင်းဖြစ်ပြီးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ခွင့်နေယူရတယ်နော်နေမကောင်းဖြစ်လို့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ထဲမှာရောက်လာတဲ့အခါမှာအိမ်မှာကလေးဟိုဆောက်ရှောက်ပေးမဲ့လူရှိရင်တော့မှလူကစိတ်ချမ်းသာစွာနဲ့အလုံးမလုံးနိုင်ဘူးနောက်ဆန်တင်းနေတဲ့ဖိအားတွေများတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါကြောင့်မလို့အခုလိုမျိုးမိခင်နှုတ်ခမ်းလေးတွေရှိမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်နှုတ်ရည်တင်းတဲ့အခါမှာကိုယ့်အနေနဲ့မိခင်နှုတ်ခမ်းထဲမှာလုံခြုံစိတ်ချစွာနဲ့နှုတ်ရည်တွေထုတ်ယူမယ်ဒီနှုတ်ကြိုတွေမပြတ်စီးအောင်ပေါ့နော်စနစ်တကျထိမ့်သိမ့်တဲ့နေရာလေးမှာထားပြီးတော့ညနေကျရင်ဒီနှုတ်ရည်ကိုကိုယ့်ရဲ့ကလေးတွေကိုပေးမယ်ဆိုရင်ဒါအလွန်ကောင်းတဲ့ကျမတို့အစီအစဉ်လေးဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါဆိုရင်မိခင်အနေနဲ့လည်းလုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာလုံခြုံစိတ်ချစွာနဲ့ပျော်ပျော်ရွှင်ရွှင်အလုပ်လုပ်ရမယ်အဖွဲ့အစည်းဘက်တွေပြန်ကြည့်ပြန်ရင်လည်းအခုလိုမျိုးပေါ့နော်မိခင်တယောက်ကကြမ်းကြမ်းမာမာပျော်ပျော်ရွှင်ရွှင်နဲ့အလုပ်လုပ်နေမယ်ဆိုကျမတို့ protection အတွက်လည်းကောင်းတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့ကြောင့်မလို့သူခဏခဏခွင့်မယူဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းကျမတို့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာပို့အဆင်ပြေတယ်နောက်ပဲမိခင်ကလုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကိုအာရုံအပြည့်စိုက်နိုင်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့ဒီလိုမျိုးလုပ်ချင်းအဖွဲ့အစည်းအတွက်လည်းဒီ healthy environment လေး corporate culture ကောင်းကောင်းလေးကိုတည်ဆောက်ပေးရတယ်ရောက်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ဒီလို room တွေလောက်တာကိုကျမတို့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေအားလုံးကိုလည်းကျမတို့နမူနာလေးတွေပေးပြီးတော့အားပေးခြင်းပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခုပြောမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပေါ့နော်အခုလိုမျိုးမိခင်အခန်းလေးတွေလုတ်ပေးဖို့ဆိုတာတကယ်ကကျမတို့နေရာအများကြီးမလိုပါဘူးနေရာလေးအနည်းငယ်ပေးရုံနောက်ပြီးတော့အထောက်အပံ့လုပ်မဲ့ပစ္စည်းလေးတွေကိုလည်းအရန်ကို invest လုပ်ပေးစရာမလိုဘူးပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုလေးလုပ်ပေးလိုက်ခြင်းအဖြစ်ဟာကျမတို့ရေရှည်လုပ်ငန်းဝင်ပျော်ရွှင်မှုအတွက်ကောဒီအဖွဲ့အစည်းရဲ့ long term success အတွက်ကောကျမတို့ဆောင်ရွက်ပေးပြီးသားဖြစ်သွားတဲ့အတွက်အားလုံးအတွက်အကျိုးရှိတာလေးအနေနဲ့ကျမတို့မြင်ပါတယ်ဒါကြောင့်မလို့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေမှာပေါ့နော်မိခင်တွေအတွက်လုပ်ငန်းဝင်တာဝန်တွေရောမိသားစုတာဝန်တွေကိုစနစ်တကျခွဲဝေလုပ်ကိုင်ပေးဖို့ပေါ့နော် work life balance ဖြစ်ဖို့အတွက်အလေးကျင့်ကောင်းတွေဆောင်ရွက်ပေးနိုင်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ညီကုန်းချုပ်အနေနဲ့ပြောချင်တာကတော့ပေါ့နော်အခု BCGE နဲ့ Alive and Thrive ရဲ့တာတူညီမျှနဲ့ပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်ပေးနိုင်တဲ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကိုဖော်ဆောင်ပေးနေကြတဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေအားလုံးကိုလည်းကျွန်မအရင်ပဲဝမ်းမြောက်ဂုဏ်ယူပါတယ်အခုဒီစကားဝိုင်းလေးကနေတဆင့်ပေါ့နော်ဒီအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေအနေနဲ့လေ့လာပြီးတော့မိမိတို့ရဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းရဲ့ long term benefits and success အတွက်အခုလိုမျိုး work life balance ဖြစ်စေတဲ့မိခင်အခန်းလေးတွေပို့ပြီးတော့ဆောင်ရွက်ပေးနိုင်ကြဖော်ဆောင်ပေးကြပါလို့ကျွန်မဆန္ဒပြုညီကုန်းချုပ်ပါတယ်အားလုံးကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါအခုလိုမျိုးပေါ့နော်အခွင့်အရေးစကားပြောကြားပေးသွားတဲ့ကျောက်တာတော်အေးဆန်ကိုကျေးဇူးထူးပင်တင်ရှိပါတယ်ရှင် Thank you for gracing us with your presence as well as your expertise for today ကျောက်တာတော်အေးဆန် thank you so much
Thank you
thank you and to continue with our schedule now I'm pleased to welcome another keynote speaker of the day Miss Q-An Lu private sector and civil society engagement program officer from Life and Thrive. Hello, Q-An.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
And you can see, and you're
Yes.
seeing my screen, right? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Let me full screen for this one. Hold on. Okay. So, hi everyone. It is indeed a pleasure for AMT to be a part of this discussion. And I am Queen. I am from Alive and Thrive East Asia Pacific, and I am the program officer for private sector. So you see that Alive and Thrive, we are connecting with private sector here in Vietnam and also in Laos and Cambodia to conduct the workplace program in which we provide breastfeeding support for mothers. And I can't agree more with Mrs. Sorry that I'm not so sure how to pronounce your name, but I cannot agree more with you that the lactation support at work is a win-win situation for both, employees and employers. And in my presentation, I'm going to walk you through the basic, the fundamental reasons why the breastfeeding is, beneficial for both employees and employers. And firstly, briefly about Alive and Thrive, we are an initiative to save lives, prevent illness, and ensure healthy growth and development. And Alive and Thrive, we have our network in Africa and also Asia. So regarding to our topic today, firstly, I would want to mention again the WHO recommendation on breastfeeding. So it is recommended by WHO that mothers should breastfeed their child exclusively for the first 6 months, and then continue breastfeeding up to 2 years of age or even beyond. So why does WHO has this kind of recommendation? Let's dig deep into that a little bit. That you can see that the significant difference between breast milk and formula is antibody. You can see that in the image on the right. You can see that this is a different. In breast milk, there are some kind of components which are, have no presence in formula. And you can see also in the figure that the percentage of babies with a respiratory disease is significantly different between two groups. The first one is the bottle-fed babies, and the second one is breastfed baby. You can see that the percentage of this disease in breastfed baby is significantly lower than the formula-fed baby. And also, we also have a lot of evidence showing that breastfeeding is also can also help to decrease the obesity and also ear infection in babies. Okay. And one thing that I would want to bring is that the breast milk, it provides the nutrition and also the antibody adaptive to children's age and health condition. For example, in the picture on the left, you can see that we have 3 cups of breast milk. You can see that the first cup is a little bit yellowish because this is the colostrum. So what is the colostrum? The colostrum is the breast milk within the first week. So it is very rich in nutrition and also very rich in antibody. This is because this is the time when the baby has just been born and they are still not familiar with a around environment. So they need the antibody, it needs the protection from mothers. So that's why in the colostrum, it is very rich in antibody. And the WHO recommend that the mother should initially breastfeed the baby within the first hour after giving birth. This is because of the colostrum. And the 2 other cups, you can see that the color is like white and the texture is a little bit watery. I mean, it's like water more because this is the milk, we call it transitional milk and the mature milk. I mean, along the time when the baby get older, so the milk will provide the nutrition adaptive to the baby's development. And in the picture on the right, you can see that we have 2 bags of breast milk. This is the breast milk of like for a healthy baby and for a sick baby. Like when the mother's body it sense that the baby is sick, so it actively produces the antibody to counter that kind of virus, that kind of disease. So that's why the breast milk, it can kind of adapt its components along with the baby's condition. And this is something that formula cannot do. And so I have just walked you through the basic reasons why the breast milk, the human breast milk is different from the formula. And regarding to the lactation support at work, I would want to talk a little bit more about this. As you can see that in the figure, you can see that this is the percentage of infant illness that requires 1 day maternal absence from work. So you can see that mothers who are breastfeeding their baby have this, absenteeism day, like 1/3 of the mother who are feeding their baby with formula. So you can see that breastfeeding is not only good for the baby, but also good for the employees and employers because it reduces the sick leave day. And in long term, it helps to increase the retention rate. The retention rate, increase the retention rate. Otherwise, we can say that decrease the turnover rate. Like, for example, in Vietnam, we have quite common phenomenon especially in the factories which we have like large amount of blue collar or common casual label. For example, after like giving birth, the employees, they usually take maternity leave up like for 2 years because they don't want to come back to the factories because they want to take care of their baby, and there is no kind of space or support for them to breastfeed when they come back. So that's why the reason there is quite a lot of people, they choose to just quit the job, and then after, like, let's say when the baby is 2 years or 3 years, and they start to searching for a job again. So in long term, the breastfeeding support for the mothers at work, it helps to increase the retention rate. So what is the meaning of this? Like, we will save a lot of HR expenditure for this when we can keep our human resource with us for a long time. And also, it also can increase the satisfaction from the employees and also their commitment to the company. So what does a workplace lactation support consist of? So with a Live and Thrive approach, we provide 3 things for mother. I mean, so this is the things that mother need to breastfeed successfully when they come back to work. The first one is time. Like, we need to provide the paid breastfeeding break. For example, in Vietnam, we successfully advocated for a regulation that all the mothers who are taking care of babies under 12 months, they are entitled for 1 hour break during the day. So that is for the time. And the second one is the space. When we talk about the space, we are talking about the lactation room. So usually in many cases, where in the factories where they don't have the lactation room in place, usually mothers, lactating mother, they have to use the WC to, kind of express and or even discharge their milk. This is very pity. And so a lactation room, it can sound quite fancy, but it is not. It is not in reality. Like, we just need a clean and private space for mothers to express and store their breast milk, so they can, come back home, bring that back home and feed their children. And finally, last but not least, this is the support. And what is the support that we need for mothers that they can breastfeed successfully? The first one is information, because a lot of mothers, they don't know about how to, proper breastfeeding. I have a funny story that when we first met some factories that we met, there is the mother, she told me that it's just ridiculous that we have to learn how to breastfeed, because if we just breastfeed and we don't need to learn about that. But after the training, she came to me and she said that, wow, if I got to know this one with the baby before, I mean with my first baby, my journey would be, much easier. So you can see that there is a lot of things to learn about the breastfeeding. For example, how to proper latching the baby, how to learn about the mechanism of breast milk production, learn how to, for example, in COVID, can a mother with COVID-19 can breastfeed the baby, for example. We have a lot of problems that we can cover in the training, in the coaching for mothers. And also, we want to create kind of supportive workplace control, especially for large company, when they have the supervision from their kind of line manager. So we would want to make sure not only to train for the employees, but also for the manager and the supervisors, so they can, support their employees. So basically, these are 3 components of the breastfeeding support. And this is you're seeing some kind of training. It was full of, question, discussion, and even some fathers, they join this training. And after the training, we accompany mothers to the lactation room and to kind of detailedly, instruct them how to use the, let's say, the breast pump, the sterilizer, and everything, equipment in the lactation room. So basically, that is the lactation support at work. And besides the lactation support, we also have, more comprehensive package of the workplace. We have nutrition, we have water and sanitation, and we also cover some mental health and wellness. So basically, that is some basic information of a Live and Thrive approach when it comes to breastfeeding support at work. Thank you for listening. I hope that I am on time, like 15 minutes sharp. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Thank you for your insights, and all the information that you have shared are truly and invaluable for us, especially for organizations that are interested in fostering friendly workplaces. So thank you so much. So now I have a pleasure of inviting Dr. Kitty Nguyen, the country director of BCGE, to guide us in facilitating our today's roundtable talk.
Thank you, Adri. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to you all for joining our roundtable talk on making a difference at work, which we collaborated with our partner Life and Thrive, not only to celebrate the Breastfeeding Month of August, but also to share the best responsible business practices companies who are our members are leading and implementing under care economy of Mother's Room, which is one of the pathways in achieving equal and inclusive workplaces. And according to Ms. Nguyen presentation discussion, and also for more healthier mothers and babies who are your employees and the family of your employees. So for today, we have a distinguished speakers to share the practical leading practices in supporting breastfeeding mothers, and may I introduce you to them to our roundtable discussion. So the first speaker is Mr. Anil Mancham, the CEO of KBZMS General Insurance, who taking this leading initiative and setting up a mother's room at KBZMS office, which is amazing. I visited and so lovely. Yeah, you will hear more from Mr. Anil on that. So the second speaker will be Kusani Tong, Chief People Officer of KBZ Bank, who also lead the second Mother's Room initiative at KBZ Bank office for the employees. You will also hear an insightful discussion from Kusani. And the third speaker will be Mai Montue, Head of Shopping Center Operations, City Properties, and of City Mart branches. And she is also leading, on setting up a mother's room at their shopping mall at St. John City Mall, which is not only for the employees, but also for the customers. Amazing, right? So you will hear from these three representatives or business leader from employer side, how these organizations have a passion and making it possible, which most of the businesses think impossible, and setting up the mother's room at the workplaces. And the fourth speaker is Mimi Mente, Head of Operation Risk Management at KBZ Bank, who is a breastfeeding mother still using the mother's room at the bank, and she will share her experiences on using the mother's room at the office, how it is useful, and etc. And last but not least, you will hear the insightful discussion and experiences from Mapie Montu, Senior Associate Operations and Writing from KBZMS General Insurance. So yeah, we have 5 distinguished speakers from employer side and breastfeeding mothers. Okay, so let us start our discussion from the first question to all of the representatives from the employers. So my first question to Mr. Anil, Gosani, and Mahimon will be that, how do you have an idea of supporting breastfeeding mothers with mother's room at your workplace, and why do you do this initiative? Especially for Gosani and Anil, as both of you are male, right? Usually this kind of initiative are usually feel like women and initiated by women. But as both of you are a male champion, how do you get this idea, and what make you inspire, and how do you initiate it? So how about studying from Mr. Anil on this?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yeah, although I'm a man, my wife is a woman, and actually she was a breastfeeding mother. So I know everything about breastfeeding and the challenges that actually comes with it. Yeah, for KBZMS, it all started from our commitment to create a workplace that values inclusivity, employee well-being, and gender equality. We wanted to create a space, a working environment where working mothers felt supported in the choice to breastfeed their children. And it also kind of fits with our overall company corporate values, metta, teti, and virya, so love and kindness. So it was almost like a natural extension of our corporate values, of our commitment to create inclusivity and gender equality, that when actually BCGE approached us with this idea that we were quite excited to participate and go ahead and set up a mother's room in Cape ZMS.
Thank you, Mr. Anil. So how about Kusani?
Thank you, Major, for the introduction. I would say the idea we started from the campaign called A 6-Month Mother Make It All You Need, initiated by Save the Children, UNICEF, and Alive and Thrive in July 2019. By the end of the campaign, we had established and announced our first breastfeeding role, as well as we revised our HR policy to include a paid breaks for breastfeeding mother, called a breastfeeding timer policy. And we're showing the campaign flying in our 500 branches across the country. So there are 3 main reasons that we initiated this mother run. One, to create employee well-being and happiness. Second, to promote a diversity inclusion. And third, to enhance the productivity and the employee engagement. So the bank constantly trying to provide an inclusive workplace for an employee, and having a family-friendly environment is one of the things that we prioritize. So providing a comfortable space for breastfeeding mothers shows that we genuinely care about our employee needs. And also we believe that the workplace should be inclusive and considerate of the diverse need of the employee. So offering a mother role send a clear message that we respect and support various family choices and fostering an atmosphere of an inclusion. And I believe that supporting working environment motivates the employee and can result in happier and more engaged employee. So a dedicated space for breastfeeding allows mother to focus better and enhances the productivity without worrying about the caring responsibility. So these are the reasons that we started this initiative.
Thank you, Kusani. So I think, from the discussion and sharing from Mr. Anil and Kusani, I find out is that these KBZMS and KBZ Bank already have, your commitments, on like gender equality, and both of your organizations are saying have the same commitment on employee well-being, equality, productivity, right? And with these consideration commitment, and also in KBZMS, you also reflect, your corporate values into actions. These are a good example of, how organization, most of them are going to have how should I say, implementing, figuring out your commitment and your corporate values into actions and make it possible. Yeah, thank you. So, like, after listening the sharing from KBZMS and KBZ Bank, so Maimon, how about like your city mart and making mother's room at your shopping center?
Thank you, Major, for the questions. For me, please allow me briefly a little bit introduce for City Mall St. John's, which is located corner of P Road and near Georgia Road in Lamara Townships with 3-story buildings. So we was building our mall that, with the universal design concept, which is family-friendly initiative, like such as playgrounds, cinemas, services, and many more F&Bs. So, and initially included that the baby changing area in our mall. So when we are so excited to hear about the Mother Rooms initiative from BCGE representative. We feeling that this is the excellent chance for us, to integrate our add-on service for our mom shoppers and our tenant staff, so that we taking this initiative and we engaging with BCGE representative in last 6 months. So not only for our customers, but also for our tenant staff, they can be having the dedicated space to perform their caregiving tasks in a daily basis. Yeah, those are the reason we are taking this initiative for Mother Rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So it's from for City Mart, we learned that like KBZ MS, the initiative is related to like commitment and my well-being and also the corporate values. So Mr. Anil, like, leading this initiative, like KBZMS, a second rooms, the campaigns, and for City Mart, like, you already have, like, the principle of the supermarket already have a family-friendly concept, and you already have a baby-changing idea. But when you heard the news of Mother's Room from us, you integrated and modified the ideas of baby changing room to the Mother's Room,
Yes.
which is a good idea, like any other businesses can think. You don't need an extra space, right? You've already you need to modify your baby changing room to the Mother's Room, which is also a good idea. Yeah. It's fantastic, and then thank you for hearing this kind of insightful sharing. Okay. So my second question to Mr. Anil Gozani and Maimon will again be that, like in BCG, allow our 5-year plus, work on like fostering or encouraging equal and inclusive workplaces. And whenever we discuss about this family-friendly workplaces on Mother's Room, we usually hear, the consideration or discussion or perception about Mother's Room initiative from different kind of businesses, such as, we have a feedback or discussion that, setting up a Mother's Room at workplaces will make them an extra cost. Oh, no, Majo, that cannot be possible for us because we don't have an extra space, and we cannot, how should I say, recruit another extra resource, extra cost, extra space. So there will be so many extra things to set up a Mother's Room. So that's a mission impossible for us. So we cannot do it. However, with this limitation and other businesses, however, we find that the KBZMS and KBZ Bank and City Mall, you make it possible for setting up these Mother's Room. I know that like in KBZMS, they, how should I say, spare their HR room and make it possible, which is very inspiring. So can you share, how did you lead and how did you implement your Mother's Room in a detailed steps? How did you make it possible, your Mother's Room at your workplaces for your breastfeeding mothers at your workplaces? So can we start from Gozani?
Yeah, of course, Majo. As I said earlier, after the campaign, we took the first step in 2019 by setting up a Mother Room at our head office in Kamayu Township. And after the successfully setting up of our first Mother Room, a new opportunity arose for us in 2023. The KBZ Bank was fortunate to be chosen as one of the grant recipients from the BCGE and allowing us to create another Mother Room at Kanoji Villa office. That makes the facility accessible for over 500 female employees. This achievement wouldn't have been possible without the valuable support of BCGE and, of course, in Alive and Thrive. I also want to extend my gratitude to KBZMS and Anil for allowing us to utilize the Mother Room for Breastfeeding Month from the Strandsquare office. I got a good feedback from the mother that they able to use the Mother Room in the KBZMS office, so that they really enjoy it. Thank you. And so I will say, in essence, our journey showcases the strategic planning, resource optimization, and collective effort can make the Mother Room initiative reality and fostering an inclusive and supportive workplace.
Thank you. Yeah. So so you make it possible. Like the first Mother's Room is like already exists, like along with your campaign, and right, you have an idea of setting up the second Mother Rooms at your workplaces. Right, great. So how about Anil?
Yeah, when it comes to implementation, we can look at 3 aspects. That's how we went about it. And number 1 is space. And space is indeed scarce. In a time where we are growing as a company, more employees, office space is quite scarce. So it was not very easy to find suitable space. So we had to be creative. In the end, we found some underutilized space in our HR area. The second one is budget. Again, in a time where expenses are scrutinized and you're under pressure to deliver bottom line results, it's not easy to find the necessary budget. But as such, I would like to extend my gratitude to BCGE for their budget support in terms of us allowing buying the necessary accessories in the mother's room. That was very helpful for us. And number 3 is employee involvement. It's very important that when you implement a mother's room, to make sure that you engage all employees, not just the breastfeeding mothers, but all employees. We encourage them to contribute ideas. We did the communication around it to explain the context and the objectives of having a mother's room in our office. So basically those 3 key components should be considered when implementing a mother's room. So number 1, space, number 2, budget, and number 3, employee engagement.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the last point of employee involvement and engagement will be very, very crucial, right, Mr. Anil? Because sometimes I think we also receive a question, from the registrant that, sometimes, like organizations set up the mother's room, but, without a proper engagement or communication with the employees, so the mother's room is over there and there's no one to use it. But yeah, the activities of like your implementation process of employee engagement, putting in your setting up a mother's room process, it's a good idea. Okay, so how about Maimo? You're muted, Maimo, you're muted.
Yeah, for us, Mateo, as we explained you earlier, we had we don't have many issues when we starting the project. But when we operated and the facility situated for the public, at the time we have some issue, kind of the losses of the equipment, damages, so that we are not ready, or unsuitable for another user at the same time, so that, I mean, if frankly saying that we doesn't have much issue for the initiative part, except in the operationals and a publicity time, that's the thing. And for the benefit for the from us, it's like there will be two feedbacks, of course, one from our TEDx staff and an employee itself, for them, that they feel that this is they really feel thankful for us, to creating that such a thoughtful spaces, for them, during the working time, they do have a break, and they could perform their caregiving responsibility, and without worrisome. And for the shopping mom as well, they could have a dedicated space, and having plan, to bringing their families and kids for the quality time, and they even don't need to be having to leave from the mall, to be performing their child needs. So this is a very credential and such a successful initiative, from that, so that, yeah, in general, we have very good we receive very good positive from the customers, moms, and also from the tenants and our employees.
Yeah, thank you, Maimo. Because when we, when we start here from City Mart on setting up a mother's room at a shopping mall, like at St. John City Mall, we are very surprised, and we are very, pleased, to hear that, oh, this will be the first mother's room initiative, putting at a City Mart, like shopping mall, not only for the employees, but also for the customers. But on the other hand, along the way of implementation, we also hear that, there are different customers, and like facilities at the mother's room, you have the organization itself, City Mart, is a more responsibility to be securing, refrigerator, television, etc. So, but I think these are your learning points in the implementation, right? But after that, City Mart also have a system, assuring, how they should do it, to use that room for employees and also the different types of customer, like turning into the challenges into in a way of the a lesson learned and the benefit, which is also good. And thank you, Maimo. So yeah, after hearing the inspiration and implementation processes from the employer side, how about we go to the breastfeeding mothers from Mami and Make, Memi and Memepie, So I will turn my language into Burmese, but I'm sure that they have simultaneous translation would help to all of the participants. So let me switch my language into Burmese for more insight when and a close discussion. So ကျွန်မအခုပေါ့နော်ဒီလုပ်ငန်းရှင်တွေဘက်ကိုမေးပြီးသွားပြီဆိုတော့မေမေတွေဘက်ကိုလည်းကျွန်မမေးပါအောင်မယ်ပေါ့ဆိုတော့မေမေဆိုတော့ကျွန်မတို့ဒီမေမေမီးနဲ့မေမေပြေပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်မတို့ပုံမှန်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ဒီကလေးကျမတို့မေမေတွေကမိဖွားခွင့်တွေယူကြတယ်မိဖွားခွင့်တွေယူပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့6လမပြည့်ခင်မှာပဲကျမတို့ကရုံပြန်တက်တယ်လေကျမတို့ကမိဖွားခွင့်ပြီးသွားတော့ဒါပေမဲ့လို့လည်းခုနကလည်းပဲတကယ်ကို technical perspective ဖြာ6လအထိကလေးကိုနှုတ်တိုက်ရမယ်ဆိုတော့အဲ့တော့မေမေတွေကပေါ့နော်ဒီမျိုးကလေးကိုနှုတ်တိုက်နေရရုပ်တရက်လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကိုဝင်တဲ့အခါမှာဒီမမီရောဒီမပြေရောပေါ့နော်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ကလေးကိုနှုတ်ဆက်တိုက်နေတဲ့ဟာအတွက်ဆက်မတိုက်နိုင်တော့မယ့်ဟာကိုဘယ်လိုမျိုးစိတ်ပူဘူးလားရဲ့ပြီးတော့အမားတို့ကကျတော့အမားတို့နှစ်ယောက်လုံးရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာကမေမေမိခင်တို့တိုက်ခန်းနေနှုတ်ချိုထိမ့်သိမ်းခန်းနေရှိတယ်ဆိုတော့အမားတို့မှာရှိနေတော့တခြားမေမေလိုမျိုးစိတ်ပူစရာမလိုဘူးပေါ့အဲ့တော့ပထမအဆုံးဖြစ်တဲ့စိတ်ပူမှုလေးနဲ့အမားတို့မှာအခန်းလေးရှိတော့အမားတို့ဘယ်လိုမျိုးအခန်းလေးရှိရတဲ့အမားတို့ရဲ့စိတ်ကဘယ်လိုမျိုးဖြစ်လဲပေါ့နော်အမားတို့ရဲ့ဒီခံစားချက်လေးကိုအရင်ဆုံးမျှဝေပေးပါလားပေါ့ပြည့်တယ်တော့မမီးရစပြီးမျှဝေပေးမလားရှင်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါရှင်မကျော်မင်္ဂလာပါဟုတ်အခုကံမောစားမှာပေါ့နော်ဒါဒီအခန်းသုံးတာဆိုဒါဒုတိယမြောက်ကလေးဖြစ်ပါတယ်ပထမဒီပေါ့နော်ပထမဒီကိုစာနီပြောတဲ့ first mother room မှာတော့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကံမောစားမှာအဲ့တော့အခန်းမရှိသေးပါဘူးအဲ့တော့တကယ်ကံမောစားမှာကိုတိုင်းနဲ့ expecting ဖြစ်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာအတင်းထဲမှာတော့ညီမလေးတယောက်ရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်ခဏရေချိုးခန်းတဲ့သူပေါ့နော်ဒီနားနေခန်းတဲ့ကိုသွားပြီးတော့သူဒီ breast milk တွေကိုညှစ်ထုတ်တယ်ဆိုတာသိရပါတယ်သူက break time ထားပြီးတော့အိမ်မှာပေါ့ဘာလုပ်တာလဲသမီးပေါ့အဲ့တည်းညှစ်ထုတ်ပြီးတော့သူကပြစ်ချတယ်လို့ပြောဟဲ့တော့ပေါ့နော် golden liquid တွေကိုဘာဖြစ်လို့ပြစ်ချရတာလဲပေါ့အဲ့ဒီမှာအရန်ပထမအဆုံးအချိန်ပေါ့အန်လဲအံ့ဩမိတယ်တစ်ဖက်ကနေဆိုတော့တကယ်ကယူကျုံမရပဲနဲ့ဝမ်းနေမိတာပေါ့နော်မိခင်တယောက်အနေနဲ့breast milk ကောင်းလေးသူကထွက်နေရဲ့နဲ့သူကအိမ်သားထဲမှာပြစ်ချနေရတာညီမလေးကပေါ့နော်ပြစ်ချနေရတော်တော်လေးစိတ်မကောင်းဘူးတစ်ဖက်မှာလည်းသူကဘာလုပ်နေရလဲဆိုနိုးမုတ်တွေဝင်နေရတာနိုးမုတ်တွေကအိတ်ခဲရလေအရန်စေးကြီးပါတယ်အရန်စေးကြီးတော့နိုးမုတ်ဘိုးကလေတော်တော်ကြီးကိုပေါ့နော်တလားအများကြီးဝင်နေရအဲ့ဒီမှာစပြီးတော့HR ကိုစာနီတို့ရောဒီ senior management ကိုစပြီးတော့propose လုပ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အထူးသဖြင့်ဒီ breastfeeding mothers တွေအတွက်ကိုexpress ကောင်းလုပ်လို့ရမယ့် environment နဲ့ပေါ့နော်ဒီ supporting framework ကိုကျမတို့ proposal လုပ်ပါတယ်ဒီမှာခုနကတော့ကိုစာနီပြောခဲ့တဲ့ဂျာနီတောက်လျှောက်ကိုလည်းဘယ်ကနေပြီးတော့ချက်ချင်းကိုပေါ့နော် support တောင်းတဲ့အချိန်မှာသူက yes လို့ပဲပြောတာno နဲ့ကိုမစားခဲ့ဘူး yes ဆိုတော့အဲ့အချိန်မှာလည်းကျမဒီကလေးလေးကိုမွေးနေတဲ့အချိန်မှာရောက်တော့ရုပ်တရက် email ဝင်လာအဲ့ email ကဘာလဲဆိုတော့ breast feeding mothers room ပြီးသွားပြီတဲ့ဟဲ့တော့ပေါ့နော်ဟဲ့တော့တကယ်ကိုဟဲ့တော့အဲ့နဲ့သူကဓာတ်ပုံတွေပါကြီးလဲပြတယ်အရင်နှွေးထွေးတယ်လို့လည်းခံစားရတယ်ပေါ့နော်လို့မလို့ရှိရင်ကျမတို့ရဲ့မေမေတွေရဲ့ခေါင်းထဲမှာmothers milk ကလည်းပေးချင်သေးတယ်ဖျားနာလည်းကင်းအောင်ပေါ့နော်ဘယ်နှလခွင့်ယူရမှာလဲဆိုတာ first thought ပေါ့နော်အခုကကြတော့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ပြန်ပြီးတော့ဘယ်လိုမျိုးအသုံးပြုမလဲဘယ်လို prepare လုပ်မလဲခုနကကွင်ပြောသွားတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲဒီ mother milk production ကိုဆက်ပြီးတော့ထွက်နေအောင်ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ဘယ်လိုပြင်ဆင်မလဲဆိုတာလုပ်ခဲ့ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့နှွေးထွေးတယ်လို့ခံစားရပါတယ်ရှင်
ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်မမီပေါ့နော်မမီပြောရတဲ့မှာအကြိုက်ဆုံးဆိုလို့ရှိရင် like မမီဆိုရင်လည်းစပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒါမမီပေါ့နော်စပြီးတော့ကလေးမတို့စရှိတဲ့အချိန်မှာ KVZ ဘက်မှာမရှိသေးဘူးဒါပေမဲ့အမတခြားညီမလေးညစ်နေတာကိုလည်းမြင်ရတယ်အမကလည်းရှိတော့မယ်ဆိုတော့ like ဝန်ထမ်းကနေပြီးတော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းရှင်ပေါ့နော်အလုပ်ကိုက like request လုပ်တယ် request လုပ်ပြီးမဲ့ဒါကခုနဥပဒေမှာဆိုမှာကိုစာနီတို့ပြောသွားသလိုပေါ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ရဲ့ commitment တွေကိုမှရှိပြီးသားဆိုတော့ဝန်ထမ်းကတောင်းဆိုလိုက်တာနဲ့လုပ်ပေးမယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့ခုနအမပြောဆို email လေးဝင်လာတဲ့အခါမှာပျော်သွားရဲဆိုတော့ကျမ I can feel it ကျမအဲ့ဒါကိုရမ်းခံစားရတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့ကျမဆိုရင်like ဘယ်လိုကျမသမီးလေးတယောက်တည်းပဲရှိပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့သမီးလေးကိုနှုတ်တိုက်တဲ့အချိန်တုန်းကကျမလုပ်တဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းကမိခင်တို့ကြိုတိုက်ကြွေးခဲ့မရှိတော့အိမ်သားထဲမှာပဲသွားပြီးနှုတ်ရသွားပြီးညှစ်ပြရတယ်အဲ့ feeling ကိုရမ်းကိုအပြစ်ရှိသလိုလဲခံစားရပြီးတော့ယူချုံမရဆိုတဲ့ feeling ကလေအဲ့အချိန်မှာတကယ်ခံစားရပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့အမဘယ်လောက်ပျော်သွားမလဲနဲ့သိရတယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကဒီမှာကြိုက်တာကဝန်ထမ်းကလိုအပ်တယ်လို့ပြောတဲ့အချိန်မှာ organization ရဲ့ commitment နဲ့ကိုက်နေတော့ပေါ့နော်စူးစမ်းပြီးလုပ်မဲ့တစ်ချိန်ရှိပြီးတော့ရောက်လာတဲ့အချိန်မှာဒါမျိုးကlike value ကျမတို့တန်ဖိုးထားရပေါ့နော်ဆိုတခါကျရင်ဝန်ထမ်းကပြောရမယ်လို့လည်းလာလုံနိုင်တာနဲ့မလုပ်ပေးနိုင်တာရှိပေမဲ့ဒီမှာကတော့ make it possible ကျမဒီမှာအမြဲပြောလို့ဖြစ်အောင်လုပ်ပေးနိုင်တယ်အမားတို့လုပ်ငန်းခွင် environment ကိုလည်းအားကြပါတယ်ပေါ့ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့မပြည့်ရောတစ်ချက်ဟိုပါပေါ့နော်မျှဝေပေးပါအောင်အမားရဲ့ခံစားချက်လေးရောပေါ့ဟုတ် MS ပါဟုတ်
အမမင်္ဂလာပါဟုတ်ပါညီမလေးလေညီမဆိုရင်ဒီ KBCMS မှာအလုပ်လုပ်တာ9နှစ်တာရှိပြီညီမပထမကလေးပြီးတော့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီလိုမာသားတော့မရှိဘူးမရှိတဲ့ဟုတ်ကလေးမွေးပြီးတော့ကိုရုံးပြန်တဲ့ခါမှာလေအမဟိုတနေ့ကပြောသလိုမျိုးညီမတို့ toilet တွေထဲမှာနို့သွားညစ်ကြတယ်ညစ်ပြီးတော့နို့တွေတုံရတယ်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့
ပထမကလေးဆိုလုံးဝပါပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုတိုက်ခဲ့ရတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အခုဒုတိယမွေးတဲ့အချိန်မှာကျတော့လေမွေးနေတဲ့အချိန်မှာညီမလည်းအဲ့လိုပဲ email ဝင်လာပြီးတော့အခန်းလေးကိုဖွင့်လိုက်ပြီးအမေတွေရောအမဘိုက်ဟိုကိုဝန်ဆောင်မေတွေရောမွေးပြီးတဲ့မမေတွေရောတက်ပြီးတော့ဖွင့်လိုက်ပြီးဆိုပုံတွေတက်လာတာတွေ့တယ်အဲ့တော့ကိုလည်းဝမ်းသာသွားတယ်ပေါ့ငါနို့ရည်တက်လာတဲ့အခါကျလို့ရှိရင်အရင်လိုအိမ်နာထဲလည်းသွားပြီးညစ်စရာမလိုအမရဒီလားကိုလုံးလုံးကြုံကြုံနဲ့ဒီမာသားရောကန်းလေးမှာဒီဟို equipment အပြည့်စုံနဲ့ပေါ့နော်စိတ်တောက်တနို့ညစ်ပြီးတော့ငါကလေးလေးကိုငါပြန်တိုက်နိုင်ပြီဆိုပြီးတော့ဒီဝမ်းလဲဝမ်းသာတယ်မှာပထမတော့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ပထမကလေးတော့ဆိုဒီလိုမျိုးမရှိတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့ဟိုညီမနိုးတက်တဲ့အချိန်ကျရင်တခါတလေဆိုမညစ်နိုင်တခါတလေဆိုတင်းပြီးတော့ရှောင်းကိုင်းပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုမျိုးလေးခံစားရတယ်
ဟုတ်တယ်
ဒီဟုတ်အခုညီမဒီဒုတိယကလေးမူတဲ့အချိန်မှာဒီ Mr. အနေနဲ့ဒီ BCGE နဲ့ပေါင်းပြီးတော့အခုလိုမာသားရုံးလေးလုပ်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ဒီကလေးလေးမှာတော့ညီမတော်တော်ဒီဝမ်းသာတယ်ပေါ့ဒီမာသားရုံးရှိတဲ့အတွက်ကလေးရောညီမအတွက်ကိုအရန်အဆင်ပြေတယ်ဒီလိုမာသားရုံးတွေကိုလည်းလေများပေါ့နော်တခြား organization တွေလုပ်ပေးဖို့လည်းညီမဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့တောင်းဆိုပါတယ်
ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်တယ်ဒီနေ့လည်းအများကြီး try နေကြရဲဆိုတော့အားလုံးလည်းဒီအမားတို့ရောဒီ Mr. နဲ့တို့ကိုစားနေတို့မိတ်မွန်တို့အားလုံးပြောမဲ့ဟာတွေလည်းပေါ့နော်ကြားမယ်ထင်တယ်အမပြောသလိုပဲပေါ့နော်ဟုတ်တယ်အမပထမကလေးလေးတုန်းကတော့အမ mother ဆိုမရှိခဲ့အမဒီ MS မှာလည်း KBZ မှာဆိုတော့9နှစ်ရှိပြီဒါပေမဲ့ဒုတိယကလေးလေးကြတော့ခန့်ရှိသွားတယ်အဲ့ဒီမှာလည်းဒီကျမတို့လည်းဒီ project လုပ်တော့ကျမတို့ရောက်ဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော် KBZ MS ကိုခုနက Mr. အမျိုးပြောသလိုပဲသူတို့ရဲ့ရုံးမှာရှိတဲ့အခန်းထဲမှာပိုတဲ့အခန်းကို make it possible လုပ်တာပေါ့ခေါင်းဆောင်တယောက်အနေနဲ့တော့လုပ်တွေကတော့များနေမှာပဲဒါပေမဲ့လုပ်ပေးခြင်းစိတ်နဲ့ကျွန်တော်အဲ့အခန်းလိုရောက်ဖြစ်တယ်ဒီအခန်းလေးကိုပြောင်းလိုက်တာဆိုတော့ကိုလည်းတကယ်အော်ရယ်ကိုအဲ့လိုအခန်းပြောင်းမဲ့အခန်းတွေရောပြောင်းလိုက်တဲ့ပုံတွေရောဟိုအဆအဆုံးမြင်နေရအောင်လေအော်တော်တော် creative ပြခုနမိုင်းမလို့ပေါ့နော်ကလေးတိုင်ပေါ်လေးတဲ့အခန်းနေပြီးတော့မိမိအခန်းပြောင်းသွားတယ်ဒီမှာဆိုလည်းပဲမလို့အပ်လေးတဲ့ပုံနေတဲ့အခန်းလေးကနေခန်းတော့ပုံနေတာပဲဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ပုံနေတဲ့အခန်းကိုမိမိအခန်းကိုပြောင်းလိုက်ပြီးတော့ like commitment နဲ့ creative ဖြစ်နေစဉ်းစားလိုက်တဲ့အခါမှာအခုလိုမျိုးဘာလဲသွန်ပြရမယ်နို့တွေကမသွန်ပြရတော့အမပြောသလိုပဲမအေတွေကလေးကိုနို့တွေမညစ်နိုင်လေနို့ချောင်းပိတ်တာတွေရောကိစ္စတွေအကျမ်းမာရောထိခိုက်တော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ဝန်ထမ်းလေးပြောတယ်အဲ့ဒီခါမှာ commitment နဲ့ကျေးဇူးတွေပို့တင်ပြီးတော့เนาะဒီလုပ်ငန်းမှာဆိုတအားကြီးလုပ်ချင်ပြီးတော့ productivity ပိုတက်တာဖြစ်မှာပေါ့เนาะဆိုတော့ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်အမပြောရဲ့မပြည့်ဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားတဲ့မိမိပြည့်ဆွေးနွေးပေးသွားတဲ့စကားတွေကဆိုရင်လည်းဒါကိုယ့်ရဲ့အမရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ဖြစ်တဲ့ KBZ MS ကเนาะအမတို့ဒီမရှိတာကိုပို့ပြီးတော့ရှိလာအောင်เนาะအမတို့လိုမမေတွေအဆင်ပြောင်းလုပ်ပေးနိုင်တဲ့အတွက်လည်းဒါကျမတို့ဒီ sharing လေးကိုနားထောင်ရတဲ့အတွက်လည်း inspire ဖြစ်တယ်ပီတိလည်းမျှဝေပြီးတော့ခုဆက်တယ်ပေါ့เนาะကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့မမေတို့ဒုတိယမေကိုလေးဆက်ပေးလိုက်မယ်ပြီးရင်တော့ကျမဒီဘက်ကဟိုလုပ်ငန်းရှင်တွေပြန်မေးမယ်ပေါ့အဲ့တော့အမတို့ကခုနကလိုမျိုးပေါ့เนาะဒီလိုမျိုးမေပြည့်ရောမီရောသုံးခဲ့ရဆိုတော့အမားတို့ mothers မိခင်နို့ချိုခန်းကိုအမားတို့ကကိုယ်တိုင်သုံးနေတဲ့သူတွေနေနဲ့အဲ့အခန်းထဲမှာရောဘလို့ပစ္စည်းလေးတွေရှိတာလဲအမားတို့ရောအိမ်ကနေပစ္စည်းတွေရောယူလာရသေးလားပြီးတော့နို့လေးတွေရောဘလို့မျိုးလေးပြန်တယ်သွားလဲပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါမျိုးလေးအမားတို့အသုံးပြုပုံလေးတွေပေါ့နော်အမအဲ့ဒါလေးတစ်ချက်လောက်မှနေတိုင်းသုံးတာလားတစ်လမှဘယ်လောက်သုံးလိုက်အဲ့ဒါလေးနည်းနည်းပြောပြပေးပါဦးပေါ့ဒီမှာလဲlike ကိုနားထောင်နေတဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းရှင်နေသူတို့လေ့လာလို့ရအောင်ပါကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်ဒီတစ်ခါတော့မမေပြပြန်ပြောပေးပါဦးလေ
ဟုတ်ညီမတို့ဒီမာသားတို့မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လေမှာဟိုပစ္စည်းအပြည့်စုံအကုန်ထားပေးတယ်ပေါ့နော်ညီမတို့ HR နေပြီးတော့နို့ရည်သိမ်းမှုအတွက်နို့ရည်အိတ်ရှိတယ်ပြီးရင်နို့ရည်ညှစ်ပြီးသွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရေခဲတက်တာထားပေးတယ်ပြီးသွားရင်ညီမတို့ wet tissue အကုန်စုံလင်ထားပေးတယ်ပြီးသွားရင်သူကဆက်နဲ့ညှစ်မလားလက်နဲ့ညှစ်မလားဆိုပြီးတော့ဆက်ကိုလည်း2မျိုးထားပေးရတယ်ဟုတ်ပြီးသွားလို့ရှိရင်ညီမတို့အဲ့ညှစ်တဲ့တတညှစ်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာလည်းသူကဟိုညီမတို့ TV တွေကနေပြီးတော့เนาะကလေးကိုနိုးချိုဘလို့တိုက်ကြွေးရင်ကလေးအတွက်ဘလို့ကောင်းကျိုးရတယ်မိခင်အတွက်ဘလို့ကောင်းကျိုးရှိတယ်ဆိုတော့ TV လေးကိုလည်းဖွင့်ပေးထားတယ်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုကြည့်ပြီးတော့ဟုတ်ဟိုဘောနော်နိုးညစ်တယ်နိုးညစ်ပြီးသွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်နိုးရည်အိတ်လေးနဲ့ညီမတိမ့်တယ်တိမ့်ပြီးတော့ရေခဲတရာထဲမှာထည့်ပြီးတော့ညီမတို့မှာအဲ့ဒီဟိုကလေးဟိုပစ္စည်းတွေသုံးပြီးမှလို့ရှိရင်ဆေးတယ်လေဆက်ပြာအစားအကုန်ညီမတို့အကုန်ပြေဆုံးထားပေးရတယ်ဟုတ်ဟိုအမိုက်ပုံးအစားအကုန်ကြည့်တယ်အမိုက်ဟုတ်
အဲ့ဆိုအမဘာမှယူလာစရာမလိုဘဲနဲ့နှုတ်တင်းလာတယ်ပဲအမသွားညှစ်လိုက်ပြီးတော့အိတ်ကလေးတွေကိုနှုတ်ရည်လေးထည့်ပြီးတော့အိမ်ပြန်တယ်ဝါရုံပဲပေါ့
ဟုတ်မှာဟုတ်
ဟိုတော်တော်အဆင်ပြေတာပဲအမလေးကျမကလေးမွေးတော့အဲ့လိုလေးမရှိခဲ့ဘူးအားကြတယ်နော် feeling ကဟိုအတိတ်ကိုပြန်ရောက်သွားသလိုပဲမမီရောအမ share ပေးပါအောင်ဟုတ်မေမီဟုတ်ကဲ့
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ရှင်အခု Mothers Room ကနေစကားပြောနေပါတယ်ဆိုတော့ကမ္ဘောဇာအခုဒီတုံးခဲ့တာကတော့ပေါ့နော်ဟိုဒုတိယပထမအခန်းပေါ့ဟိုဒုတိယအခန်းပေါ့နော်ဟိုခုနကတော့ပြောရဲအခန်းကမ္ဘောဇာရဲ့ဒီအခန်းထဲမှာတော့အရင်ပြည့်စုံပါတယ်ဒီဟိုမမီကတော့အိမ်ကနေပြီးတော့ကိုယ်တိုင်ဖော့ပြူလာတယ်ဟိုကိုယ့်ရဲ့စနက်ကိုလာတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ပေါ့နော်ဒီမှာလက်ဆေးဖို့ဘေးစင်ရောဟို microwave လဲထားပေးတယ်တခါလေးကျရင်တချို့ဆက်တွေကကြတော့ဟို sanitize ဆို microwave နဲ့လုပ်လို့ရတယ်လေပြီးရင်ပေါင်းအိုးလေးလဲထားပေးတယ်ပြန်ပြီးတော့ sanitization လုပ်လို့ရတယ်ပေါင်းအိုးတွေဆေးကျင်လို့ရှိရင်ဆေးပြီးတော့ပေါ့နော်ပြန်ယူသွားခြင်းယူလို့ရပြီးရင်ဆက်တွေလဲထားပေးတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့မမီကတော့အိမ်ကနေကိုယ့်ဆက်ကိုယူလာတယ်လက်ဆေးဖို့လည်းအစင်တင်းပေါ့နော်လုံးဝမထင်တာဘူးဒီဘေးစင်ကြီးပါနေမယ်လို့ပြီးသွားလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ့်အိမ်ကနေကိုရေရဲအိမ်ယူလာပြီးတော့တခါလေဒီဘေးနားမှာရှိတဲ့ refrigerator လေးပေါ့နော်ဒီ refrigerator လေးထဲမှာတခါလေးထည့်တယ်ပြီးတော့လို့ရှိရင်တခါလေးကြာရင်အရင်များနေရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းကိုအခဲရိုက်သွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်ခုနကတော့ဟို storage space လေးနဲ့ပြီးအဲ့ဒါကြီးလည်းပြည့်ပြည့်စုံစုံထားထားပေးရကမ္ဘောဇာမှာအရင်ဆုံးနေပြီးဟိုဒီမှာ baby bassinet လေးလည်းထားပေးတယ် baby wipes ကနေအစားဟို baby ဟို shower လုပ်ဖို့ထုတ်ရအကေအရင်ငယ်လို့ပေါ့နော်အကြောင်းကြောင့်လိုအပ်ရင်အဲ့ဒါကြီးပါအကုန်ထားပေးထားပါတယ်ရှင်ဟိုမမီကတော့တရက်ကို2 ခါသုံးပါတယ်ဟိုခလေးငယ်တော့ပေါ့နော်အခုကလေး6 လအထက်ရောက်သွားတဲ့အချိန်မှာတရက်တစ်ခါသုံးတယ်ပြီးကမ္ဘောဇာရဲ့အထက်မှာအရင်ချစ်စရာကောင်းတာအမကြိုက်ဆုံးကတော့သူကဟိုဒီ USB ပေါ့နဲ့ electric outlet တွေလည်းထားပေးတယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီပေါ့နော်ဟိုရုံချုပ်ခဌာနကနေပြီးတော့အလုပ်လုပ်မယ်မီတင်လုပ်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟိုအလုပ်ငန်းခွင်အတွင်းမှာပြီးမီတင်တွေကို join လုပ်လို့ရတာကိုယ့်ရဲ့ဟို laptop ပေါ့နော်ယူလာပြီးတော့ email စစ်လို့ရတာဟိုအဲ့လိုမျိုးကြီးပါအကုန်လုံးလို့ရတယ်ရှင်အဲ့တော့အရင်သဘောကျပါတယ်
ကောင်းတယ်နော်ဟိုနုညင်ရင်နဲ့ပြန်ယူသွားတာရောခဲတာတွေရောအမားတို့ဒါတော့မကိုစစ်တဲ့ညယူလာပြီမဲ့ Mother's Room မှာမေနုညင်ခန်းဒီမှာပြည့်စုံနေထားပြီးပြီခုနကလို USB port တွေပါထားပြီးတော့နုညင်ရင်နဲ့နော်အစည်းအဝေးလေးလာ join ရင်လည်းနားထောင်နေရလို့ရတာတွေကမပြတ်ကွက်ဘူးပေါ့နော်ဆိုကောင်းလိုက်တာဟုတ်ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ပြည့်စုံပြီးဝင်မြပြီးတော့မေပြည့်ရောဟိုပါလဲဒီတိုင်းသုံးတာလားတနေ့ဘယ်နှချိန်သုံးတာလဲမေပြည့်ပြောသွားတာလေးရှိတယ်
ဟုတ်ကလေး6 လအောက်တော့ကတော့ညီမတနေ့ကို2 ကြိမ်သုံးတယ်မှာ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့
ကလေးက8 လလေးဝင်သွားပြီဆိုတော့တနေ့ကို1 ခါဒါပေမဲ့တစ်ခါလေးကျရင်နှုတ်မတင်တဲ့ခါကျရင်တော့လာမသုံးတော့ဘူးပေါ့နော်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့
အခုကတော့တိတ်မညစ်ကတော့ဟုတ်ညီမတို့ရှိမှာခုနကအခုကြောင်လာမှာလည်းနှုတ်ဘူးပေါင်းတဲ့ဇက်တွေလည်းရှိတယ်မှာ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကောင်းတယ်နော်အရင်ပြည့်စုံနေထားပေးတာပဲဒါဆိုလည်းမှတ်သားလို့ရပါတယ်ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့မေတွေဘက်ကိုမေးပြီးသွားတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်မဒီဘက်နော်ဟိုလဲ organization ဘက်ကိုကျွန်မပြန်သွားလိုက်အောင်မယ်ပေါ့ဆိုတော့ so after asking like you know after listening the insightful and experiences from the breastfeeding mother let's go back to the questions to the organizational side so my third question to Maimo Kozani and Mr. Anil would be that yeah we know that you have set up your mother's room and it has been around more than 6 months you have implemented your mother's room so after a longer journey of 6 months and I think you have set up and mothers breastfeeding mothers are already use your room so what we would like to know is that could you kindly share any feedbacks that you received relating with your mother's room not only from breastfeeding mom but also from other employees what are they saying about your setup of mother's room and what are the feedback so could you kindly start from Mr. Anil this time thank you
yeah so the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive so from breastfeeding mothers they express gratitude for the comfortable and private space which made it easier for them to continue breastfeeding while going back to work but also from non-breastfeeding employees they appreciate our commitment to inclusivity and our efforts to create a supportive workplace so it's kind of enhance overall employee morale. So in conclusion, overwhelmingly positive. Thank you.
Okay, great. So how about Gozani?
Yeah, since we established the mother room, the feedback received from our employee are positive and also truly encouraging. It has been remarkable to witness the positive impact it has had not only on the breastfeeding mother, but also on our employee across our organization. The overall feedback has been good, and we receive a lot of us to extend this sort of facility in other area as well as the other city. So this is a great encouragement for us, and with that, we are on the right track. You also had the experience being shared by my colleague, who is current active user of our mother room.
Yeah, of course, no wonder you all received a very positive feedback because you are doing a very great job for your employees. So how about Maimon, Ma?
Yes, for us, the feedback from the tenants, employees, they says, it shows that, our malls care about their well-being and thankful for the spaces that, because it's being a real lifesaver for them, because during their break, because they could perform, they are like daily tasks of caregiving, and then, to do the presence of our big sinks, refrigerators that, like the mothers, just present that, and it's a big plus for them, so it makes it like convenient for the moms, who need to be store the breast milk, and they keep to be refreshed or anything they want to. So this is the good feedback from the tenants, employees, and from our customer side, for customer moms, they would like to encourage, for to our more that, to keep up the great work, for with the mother rooms, and it's so clear that we are genuinely care about our customer well-being, our changing station with the well-equipped, and it make their shopping experience so much more comfortable and convenience, and also stress-free. So lastly, with our cleanliness, privacy, and the amenities are truly stand out, so that they said they keep sharing to their community for their good experience of the mother room at our shopping mall. Yeah, because
of course.
for us it's just recently launched, so it's pick up from some customers, and overall would be the positive feedback.
Yeah, as we are discussing and very positive, and things and feedback. So how about, I'm wondering, is there any challenges from the organizational perspective that Mr. Anil, Maimo, and Kuzani encounter along the way of your implementation process? Would you also would like to share any challenges if you in case encounter in setting up the mother's room? Maimo, any challenges?
Yeah, for me, it's as I said earlier, in the first round question, that in the initiating and project state, that we doesn't have much issues, because firstly we designed our baby changing room with the mother room's amenities, and then we and for us also, for the additional, because you mentioned already, that is there any other extra resource or additional team, right? For us, it's no need to be higher or concerned any in any way, because we have a same team of our shopping center operation or ground team could take care of the room, and then we educated to the breastfeeding mothers and future mothers of our internet staff first. Then we raising the awareness to the public that the mother room's locations and presence, and also the benefits. So I think initiating state that not much problem, but as I said earlier, that when we present the mother room amenities and operational to the public, we have some unexpected issue that for the losses damage and the unidentified users, So for that, we recently changed the process that we prepare our room with the standard login system, so that user can have the code from our information counter, from our survey hotline, so that we could have the user transitions and feedbacks, as well as the promptly quickly refresh the room, by one user another, by our housekeeping team. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, from the city mall, not only for employees but also for the customer with different types. You also I know we also noticed that, and learned that, there are some challenges, for the management of this room, but I think you change your system, you learn from it, and I think, within the first launching period, you have a mandate and you have set up a system, to adapt with the challenging situation of the city mall, right? Okay, that's great. So how about Mr. Anil? Did you find any challenges in case if you have it?
Yeah, a couple of challenges that I would like to share. First and foremost, as I already mentioned, it's space. It's not easy to find space, so we had to be creative and kind of repurpose space in our HR department. The second challenge to keep in mind is maintenance. We have to ensure that the mother room remains clean and also well stocked. So we have all kind of accessories in there. We have to make sure that they are well stocked. So, but it's a very necessary investment in the well-being of the employees and the users of the mother room. The third, I wouldn't really call it a challenge, but an important consideration is education. We have to make sure that we educate our employees, both breastfeeding mothers and non-breastfeeding employees, about the purpose and the benefits of the mother room, which we kind of highlighted in our internal communication among all our employees. So what we learned is that for future initiatives, we need to be very mindful of the importance of thorough planning. We have to make sure that we involve all employees and that we maintain open lines of communication to address any concerns. So that's in a nutshell what we kind of learned from our experience of introducing a mother room in KBZMS.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Anil. All of these are very useful, and I think it's already answered some of the questions which we received, from the participants on setting up a mother's room and how make it effective, in a practical intervention. Thank you so much. And how about Guzani?
Yeah, I think I would say the same challenges were faced at KBZ Bank. As like KBZMS and also Life and Thrive mentioned during the presentation, the limitation of the space and the budget constraint which require the creative solutions. And I think communication and employee involvement were also crucial in implementing this initiative. Yeah, we have learned a few lessons throughout this initiative. It will be the importance of thorough planning, clear communication, and anticipating the potential challenges. And of course, and also the maintenance and the feedback is important too, as this is not just a one-time job, which we can neglect after the establishment. We always need to inspect hygiene, whether the equipment work, and if there are any other issue, etc. And it's also important to listen to the user and find a way to address the issue so that we make a continuous development.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we also learned that, like KBZMS mother room is also used by KBZ employees, which is also it's also very useful way, emerging these business entities, Yeah, yep. So the final questions to the employer side, so it's also back to my first question that there are participants joining and listening to this section, and what will be your words, the final words to the organization who would like to set up, number one, who would like to set up a mother's room but still think it is mission impossible? Or number two, what will be your final word to the organization who have no interest or see that it's unnecessary in setting up a mother's room at the workplaces? So what will be your final words from Mr. Anil, Guzani, and Maimon? Mr. Anil, will you start from you?
Yeah, okay. For those companies considering introducing a mother's room, I think the first thing is that it's not impossible and it's not unnecessary either, right? So it's an investment in the well-being of all your employees, and it's also a tangible statement of your commitment to inclusivity, and it will boost overall workplace morale. The second thing I want to highlight is that it doesn't have to be very big or elaborate. Companies who are considering a mother's room.
ယူဆကြမလိုပါဘူးဒါပုံမှန်မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ကတင်လျော်တဲ့เนาะအခန်းငယ်လေးတစ်ခန်းနဲ့စီစဉ်ပေးလိုက်ရင်ကိုလည်းအခြေအနေရတစ်ခါတည်းမှာကျွန်တော်တို့အကန့်အသတ်ရှိတယ်နေရာအကန့်အသတ်ရှိတယ်ဆိုလဲအခန်းချင်းချင်းလေးတစ်ခုလောက်ကိုပဲကျွန်တော်တေချာလေးတုတ်ပေးလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒါအဆင်ပြေတာနိုင်တာဆိုတာကိုကျွန်တော်စဉ်းစားဖို့လိုတယ်အဆုံးသတ်အနေနဲ့ကတော့ခုန
retention positive employer brand kind of outweighs all the concerns you might have when you're contemplating a mother's room. So we strongly encourage every company to explore introducing a mother's initiative, a mother's room, and experience the positive impact that we have in Caves of the Mess.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that will inspire all of the organization who wish to have the mother's room, who still doesn't have a consideration in setting up the mother's room. Thank you, Mr. Anil. So Gozani, what will be your words? What the final words?
Yeah, to the organization, still considering the mother room initiative as unattainable or unnecessary. I want to say that is much more than just providing a space. It signifies our commitment to support equality and empathy of our employees. The advantage of this initiative for outweigh the challenges which I did mention. By fostering inclusivity, we enhance morale, productivity, and retention rate in our workplace. At KBZ Bank, we have about 12,000 employees, in which 58% representing the female employee. So expanding our mother-owned facility is a key priority. Our goal is to ensure equal opportunity and create an inclusive environment for all employees. So KBZ Bank dedication goes beyond surface effort. We are cultivating a working culture that truly values and embraces our diverse workforce. And finally, I would say rather considering as an extra burden, I would encourage to see this initiative as an investment in your employee well-being and the future success of your company. Is a strategic move that demonstrates the commitment to a supported and thriving place for everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So with both of you, on the final words, any organization can start from small and can find a space, and also align with the commitments. So how about Maimon?
Yes. For me, I would like to encourage to the other businesses, like who stay perceived or finding difficulties. The Mother Rooms initiative, for shopping center, would be the commitment, to inclusivity, like gender equality, and respect for the needs of all visitors, regardless of gender or parental status, right? So the secondly, that that for the employee is that they could have access to a comfortable and private space to address for their caregiving responsibility, so that they can manage, their tax more efficiently, leading to the improved productivity. That's true. And then another point that for threat rejection, for our customer shopping mall, that they can experience a lower threat level, that they have a dedicated space. They knew that already, to care for their child needs, by their shopping, and also they can enhance their overall shopping experience. Any or caregivers, not only for moms, I mean that allowing them to attend their child needs, without having to leave from the mall, and additionally, it will gain a positive reputation, for being for our shopping center point of view, being family friendly and social responsible, would be the attracting for the wide range of the visitors. So so from my side, thank you again, to the distinguished panelists, and for your insightful contribution, and as an organizer and facilitating this crucial dialogue, it's really for your engagement and commitment, we can see to make it a different way, another way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we learned a lot from three of your discussion, as from the the perception initiative experiences, and also sharing some of the challenges. I'm sure that the participants will learn, some of the insightful learning from three of you. Okay, so as I've completed all of my questions to the employer side, let me go back to the mothers, breastfeeding mom, for the final one. So okay, again, let me switch my language into Burmese. So ကျွန်မကဒီဘက်ကဒီ လုပ်ငန်းရှင်တွေဘက်ကိုကျမကနားထောင်ပြီးသွားတဲ့အခါမှာ
So after I listening to the perspective of the employers, I like to ask some
အချိန်လေး limit ကြောင့်ကျွန်မပေါင်းမိလိုက်ပါမယ်ပေါ့မေမေမီးနဲ့မေမေပြရအောင်လက်ရှိမိမိတို့ရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်တွေမှာရှိတဲ့မိခင်တို့တိုက်ခန်းတွေကိုသုံးခွဲအခါမှာပေါ့နော်အမားတို့စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာကောဘယ်လိုမျိုးလုံခြုံမှုရှိလဲအဲ့လိုလုံခြုံမှုရှိနဲ့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့မေမေတို့တွေကိုအိမ်ကကလေးလေးတွေပြန်တယ်ဝါနိုင်တဲ့အတွက်အမားတို့ကရောဒီနေ့ပွဲမှာပေါ့နော် roundtable talk ကိုလာပြီး join တဲ့ participants တွေရောဘယ်လိုများအမားတို့တွန်းအားပေးဒီမိခင်တို့တိုက်ခန်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့တွန်းအားလေးတွေပေးကြပါလေပေါ့ပြဝေပါဦးရှင်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်မေမေမီးရစမှာရှင်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ရှင်ဟုတ်ပထမမေးခွန်းကဘယ်လိုခံစားရလဲဆိုတော့အရင်နှွေးထွေးရလို့ခံစားရပါတယ်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့လုပ်ငန်းရှင်ဘက်ကနေပေါ့နော်ဒီ organization level อ่ะဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းအရင် supportive ဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့ဘာလို့ supportive ဖြစ်တာလဲဆိုတော့ကျမကဒီအလုပ်လုပ်တဲ့ professional working mother အနေနဲ့ဒီလိုမျိုးမိသားစုကိုလည်း raise လုပ်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာကျမတို့အမျိုးသမီးမှာ in general မေးခွန်းတစ်ခုရှိရပေါ့နော်ကလေးမေးပြီးမှအလုပ်ဆက်လုပ်ရမှာလားပေါ့နော် corporate ကလေးကလေးမေပဲလုပ်ရမှာလားပေါ့ဒီမေးခွန်းကကျမတို့မှာအခုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘလို့ပေါ့နော်နှစ်ခုလုံးလုပ်လို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်နှစ်ခုလုံးလုပ်လို့ရအောင်လေ organization နဲ့ဒီ management နဲ့ HR support ပေးထားတဲ့အတွက်အရန်ကုန်ယူပါတယ်အခုလိုမျိုး organization မှာအလုပ်လုပ်ရတဲ့အတွက်ပေါ့နော်ဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ကျမ fully ဦးကြီးကအလုပ်လုပ်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာကလေးတွေကျန်းမာဖို့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်မိခင်တို့မှတပါးပေါ့နော်ကျန်တဲ့ဟာတွေထဲမိခင်တို့ပဲအားကိုးကျင်တာပေါ့ဒီကလေးနှစ်အောက်တဲ့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့ခုနကတော့ golden liquid ဆိုတာဒီ no milk ဆိုတာထက်ပိုတဲ့ဒီအားစေးတစ်ခုကိုပေးနေတဲ့အခါကြောင့်မလို့ကျမတော့အရန်ကုန်ယူပါတယ်ရှင်ဒီပေါ့နော်လုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာရှိနေတဲ့မိခင်လောင်းနေတဲ့မိမိတွေကိုလည်းဗာပြောချင်တာလဲဆိုတော့မိခင်တို့ကိုတိုက်ကျွေးပါတိုက်ကျွေးအောင်လည်းစူးစမ်းကြပါပေါ့နော်အထူးရင်ကမ္ဘောဇာညီမလေးတွေအတွက်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းကမ္ဘောဇာမှာမိခင်တို့ကနှစ်ခမ်းပဲရှိတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့တကယ်ကျမတို့ရဲ့ management နဲ့ HR policy ရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်ငွေ400ကျော်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အသုံးပြုလို့ရအောင် management ကနေ support ပေးထားပါတယ်ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့အသုံးပြုကြပါပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးပဲတိုက်တွန်းချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
ဖွဲ့စည်းတွေရောမမီဘာပြောချင်သေးလဲဖွဲ့စည်းတွေရော
တော့ဒါ woman empowerment ကိုပေးတဲ့အပြင်ပေါ့နော်ဒီ working mother မှာကျမတို့မှာတစ်ခုရှိရဲ့ချင်းmultitasking ကအရန်ကောင်းတယ်multitasking ကအရန်ကောင်းတော့ကျမအတင်မှာဆိုလဲအမျိုးသမီးပေါ့နော်ဒီမိခင်2ယောက်ရှိတယ် multitasking လည်းကောင်းတယ်လို့ working hour လည်းတကယ်က long term မှာဆိုသူတို့ကရှည်သွားတယ်ပေါ့နော်သူတို့နေ့မှာဒီလိုမျိုးကြီးလုပ်ရပေမဲ့အချက်လိုအပ်လို့ပေါ့ after hours တွေ support ပေးရမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင် they never say noဆိုတော့ပေါ့နော်ကျမအနေနဲ့ကတော့ပထမပိုင်းမှာဒီလိုမျိုးပေးရပေမဲ့ manager တယောက်အနေနဲ့ကြည့်ရမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒီခုနကတော့ပေါ့နော် queen တို့ပြောသွားတဲ့retention rate လည်းအရန်ကောင်းတယ်လို့မျိုးworking hour ရော productivity ရောအရန်တက်တယ်ဆိုတာတွေ့ရတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့ဒီ working mothers တွေကို fully support ပေးကြအဖြစ်ရေရှည်မှာဆိုရင် company တွေအရန်ကောင်းတယ်လို့တိုက်တွန်းပြီးတော့အားပေးချင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်အခုလိုပြပြပြီးတော့ဆိုတော့တစ်ခါကြာရင်ကျမတို့ကအဲ့လိုမျိုးမိခင်တို့ကြိုတိုက်ကျွေးကန်းတွေကိုကျမတို့လောက်ပါလို့ပြောတဲ့အခါမှာတစ်ခါကြာရင်ဖွဲ့စည်းမြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာဘယ်သူတွေလုပ်လဲသူတွေကနမူနာရှိလဲဆိုရင်ဒါကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ roundtable talk ကနမူနာလုပ်တဲ့သူတွေကိုလည်းဖိတ်ကြားထားပြီးတော့တကယ်သုံးနေတဲ့မေမေတွေကိုလည်းဖိတ်ကြားထားတယ်နမူနာတွေကဒီနေ့ပွဲမှာရှိပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်နမူနာများပြောတော့ဗာလဲအတွေ့အကြုံများကိုနားထောင်ပြီးတော့လိုက်လုံနိုင်ဖို့ကျမတို့လည်းတွန်းအားပေးပါတယ်ပေါ့အဲ့တော့နောက်ဆုံးစကားလေးရောမေမေပြပြောပေးပါဦးပေါ့ကျမတို့မေမေပြတော့ကျွန်တော် end လုပ်ပါမယ် body section လေးကို
ဟုတ်ပါမမဆိုလည်းအဲ့လိုပဲကိုကလေးမွေးပြီးတော့လေကိုလုပ်ငန်းဝင်ကိုပြန်ဝင်တဲ့အခါမှာကိုကလေးကိုစိတ်မချရတယ်စိတ်ပူပန်မှုတွေဒီလိုမာလာတော့မရှိခင်ကအများကြီးဖြတ်တန်းခဲ့ရတယ်အများကြီးရှိခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီလိုမျိုးညီမတို့ကုမ္ပဏီကနေပြီးတော့ဒီမာသားရုံးလေးထားပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့ကိုအတွက်ကိုကလေးအတွက်ကောဒီကုမ္ပဏီအတွက်ပေါ့နော်ကုမ္ပဏီနဲ့ကုမ္ပဏီဘက်ကကိုဒီ employee ဘက်နဲ့ကြည့်မယ်ဆိုရင်လည်းဒီ work life balance ဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ပြီးတော့အဖွဲ့
ဟုတ်မှာ work life balance လည်းဖြစ်တယ်နောက်တော့အဖွဲ့ဒီမှာတက်တဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေတော့အမမလို့မိခင်တို့ကြိုတက်ကျွေးကန်ထားဖို့အမဘလို့နည်းများတွန်းအားပေးချင်ပါလဲမ
ဟုတ်ဒီလိုမျိုးဒီမာသားရုံးတွေကိုပေါ့နော်ဖွဲ့စည်းတိုင်းထားပေးဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲဖွဲ့စည်းတိုင်းမှာရှိတဲ့တယ်လို့ညီမအနေနဲ့ကတော့ယူလဲယူဆတယ်ပြီးတော့များရှိလေဒီဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲကလေးနဲ့မအေးနဲ့အဆက်ပြတ်သွားတာမျိုးမရှိဘူးပေါ့နော်မရှိဘဲနဲ့ကလေးအတွက်ကောမိခင်အတွက်ကောနှစ်ဦးနှစ်ဖက်အဆင်ပြေတယ်လို့မြင်တယ်အဲဒါကြောင့်များလုပ်ပေးတဲ့တယ်လို့ညီမယူဆတယ်မှာဟုတ်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ကျမတို့ BCG ကဒီလုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကြားမှတန်းတူညီမျှရေး workplace gender equality ပြောတဲ့အခါမှာတစ်ခါကြာရင်လူတွေကလုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကြားမှတန်းတူညီမျှရေး workplace gender equality တတ် topic ခုနလိုမျိုးမိခင်တို့ကြိုအခုလိုမျိုးလုပ်တဲ့တိုက်ကျွေးတတ် topic လို့ topic နှစ်ခုကိုခွဲပြီးမြင်ကြတတ်တယ်ပေါ့တကယ်တော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူးပေါ့လုပ်ငန်းခွင်ကြားမှတန်းတူညီမျှရေး workplace gender equality ဆိုတော့ it's not a separate topic ပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့ကျမတို့အခုလိုမျိုးလုပ်နေတဲ့ initiation တွေနော် the initiative and the implementation that we all are now working as a setting up like breastfeeding mothers at workplaces it's kind of how should I say encouraging like working mothers who may drop it off after delivering the babies and like they don't have a space to breastfeed etc. So this is kind of the initiative in encouraging or fostering
အခုဒီအမတွေနော်ဆရာတို့တိုင်မိခင်နေဆရာမပေါ့လုပ်ငန်း
equitable and inclusive workplaces. So we appreciate all of the speakers of today, all of the 5 distinguished speakers for today for sharing your insightful experiences and the journey that you have gone through for setting up the mother's room. So from this today's section, what we have learned is that the setting up of the mother's room is driven by leadership and driven by commitment and linking with your core values. And another thing is that making possible with the creativity, like an example of KBZ MS, KBZ Bank and the city more, how the creativity and passion that the leaders and the organization would like to cultivate the environment for the employees. And on the other hand, the employee, they also themselves have a courage to voice out to the organization, hey, we need a mother's room, please do it. And the organization also listen out the voices from the employees and make it possible. So that's why, these how should I say, the well-being, like equitable workplaces are here in this organization, all of the organization of our speakers. So we BCG also would like to encourage all of the participants, for setting up or considering or setting up a mother's room at your workplaces for creating or fostering like employee well-being or inclusive or equitable workplaces within your organization. That will be also good, well, not indirectly related with your productivity and employee engagement. So thank you to all of the participants for today and all of our speakers. So I will over to our section to the MC Ikri. Thank you.
You are on mute, Ikri.
Oh, thank you, Kiwan. Thank you. Thank you, Macho. And a big thank you to our speakers of the day for sharing invaluable perspectives at today's talk. Actually, we do have a Q&A session at the end of this talk, but as one of our speakers, Mr. Adil, has to run off to another urgent meeting, so we will first like to proceed with taking a commemorative photo first, then we will proceed with our Q&A session. So to our esteemed speakers, please kindly gaze into the camera for our photograph. Hey, say please. Thank you all to a big thank you to our speakers again, and Mr. Anil, thank you for joining us today. As we already have been informed, you have an urgent meeting to join, so we will let you off, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share our experiences of the mother room at KBZMS, and again, I highly encourage all other companies to seriously consider it. It's the benefits really outweigh the initial costs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Neil.
Bye. Bye.
So let us proceed with our Q&A session. So actually, we do have a few questions that we have received from our registration. We collected from in advance. So we do have a few questions on establishing mother's room and supporting breastfeeding mothers. But some of the answers for those questions have been addressed in our previous roundtable talk. So I will just choose 3 questions to address here due to time constraints. So the first question is that what is the good environment for mothers and how it can advantage them? So Major, can you kindly head up facilitate this question?
Okay, thank you, Ikri. So for the good environment for mothers, I will lead up and answering the question. And I also would like to invite Ms. QN, if you would like to add on anything on creating a good environment and advantages from it, Yeah, so in a nutshell, a good environment for working mothers. So from BCGE perspective, we like a good environment for working mothers we should have, a mother's room like this, or childcare facilities or daycare facility, and flexible working arrangement that because mothers may have any, how should I say, assistant to the babies that, deliver recently or have a couple of months, So flexible working arrangement, provision of flexible working arrangement and provision of childcare, daycare center or mother's room would be help them, to how should I say, to possess a good working environment for career mothers. And as additional, a supportive working environment from the colleges, who she is working on, colleges meaning the colleges at the same level, or the juniors and also the seniors. So the working mothers also need the support from the colleges. And at the family level, she also need the support from her spouse, the family members where she is also living together. So that's my brief answer on creating a good environment for working mothers. Anything you would like to add on this, Ms. Nguyen? You are muted. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I think you covered quite very well for that question. I just want to add one minor thing that I think the childcare, I don't know how things go in Myanmar, but for example, in Vietnam, we have a kind of norms that childcare is the women's job. Yes, so I think that to create a good environment, working environment for mothers, I think it is also very important to engage the family members. For example, we have the kind of family international days. Yeah, some kind of ceremony like that. We can organize some kind of events where we can engage the mothers, the parents, I mean the father and mother-in-law of the mothers who is working, for example, because they are accompanying and also they play a really big influence over the mother during the child care. So for example, even for the breastfeeding, it is very likely to be influenced by mother-in-law to use formula, for example. So I think I just want to add up a little bit more on, engaging family members during the child care. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So over back to you, Ms. Ikri.
Thank you for addressing this question. So another question that we have received is that how can I improve mother life and marriage life as a career woman? Can you please help us address this question, please, Matthew?
They're all career mothers, who, including myself, balancing between the marriage life and a mother life. In practical, which is not quite easy, but we can make it possible. On my personal experience, having a balance between a mother's life and a married life, it's not quite easy, but we all need to be, how should I say, confident on ourselves, and we also need to be bold to ask, request, or support to the person around us. For example, if I'm a career mother, if I go back home and on that day, if I also need to concentrate work even after in my home, so I also should, how should I say, discuss with my spouse that, hey, I have a very busy day and I also need to work some extra time at work, I cannot do the dishes and the blah, 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 household things. So can you do it, So we also need to open up, for the support that we needed, not only at the home, but also at the workplace, So we number one, we also need to be confident. Number two, we need to be bold and open enough, to ask support needed. It's not like that, I'm asking support and, I am not capable of, So we also need to, open enough to have a support from the spouse or from the colleges at workplaces. yeah, I think that's an important thing. And I think that also relate to the first answer, the first question answered by Ms. Quen, that, same with in our country, Ms. Quen, in Myanmar, I think it's a social norm that, domestic work, housework or caregiving work it should be done by mothers, right? So from the old generation, it's very traditional, and if men work or help in the domestic work or housework or care work, like they were criticized as, why a man doing or washing the dishes or, washing the clothes, that's the work of the mother. I think that's a social norm still influence in our community. However, like these later generation, this is a bit not overwhelmed by like inclusive behavior, but still we have a norm. So that's why, we also need to overcome that norms. And at workplaces, organizations also need to educate, like as Mr. Anil said, that organizations also need to educate their employees to overcome these social and cultural norms. We need to break it up in order to support two women. If not, okay, all of the care work and domestic work are need to be done by women, and why men need to provide a support. That will be a barrier or the glass ceilings that women will encounter. So yeah, in back to the question, improve mother life and a married life. Number one, at home, you need to discuss and negotiate with your spouse. Number two, with a family member who you are living together with. Number two, don't be shy to ask support and assistance from them. Same context and same apply to the workplaces. Yeah, thank you. Quen, would you like to add anything?
It's good for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, over back to Akri.
Thank you so much, Manjo. So I do see a few more questions directly messaged to me for this session, but due to the limited time, we will be choosing less one question, which is a bit long. So let me read it. Okay, one of the challenges of breastfeeding working mothers are the allocation of time to come while working in the office. Several companies might have the policies, but the implementation are not as smooth as it is. How companies ensure an enabling environment for these circumstances? So can you help to facilitate this question, please, Petro? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think Mr. Anil already, the responses from Mr. Anil already responded to that, but may I repeat to that, yeah, sometimes, according to BCGE experience, some of the organizations have a policy, but they don't believe that, okay, yeah, we have a policy, but we may put it on the shelf and that may not work. So it's better not to have the policy. Okay, that's good. No, I'm just kidding. So the question is that, for the breastfeeding, so for the mother's room, having a policy is good, but some of the organization, it's not effectively using that policy, and that may encounter the challenges, right? So if I have to answer, and I will over to Guzani again, because as far as I know, KBZ Bank has a policy on like mother's room usage, and they also implemented and communicated on that. So if I have to answer on that, yeah. Number one, every organization should have a policy or the guiding principle for the usage of mother's room if they had the mother's room or set up the mother's room. Whatever they would like to have it or not have it, that the infrastructure that every organization should have. The second thing is, okay, if you have a policy, yeah, why not? It's not effective because you need to communicate well and you need to educate it well on the employees, as Mr. Anil said, right? Because in the challenges that Mr. Anil responded, in the challenges, he also added that the employee engagement is one of the part of the challenges, because once they have set up the mother room, KBZ communicated, educated, to understand why the purpose of having the mother's room, why do you need it, why we have to do it. So they educated and they communicated well enough to the employee to understand the purpose, to use the room and to understand every of the rules and regulations of it. So my brief response again to the question is, not only having the policy is not enough, yes, correct. In order to make it effective too, organizations should consider how you effectively communicated on that. Another example, according to our experience, that one of our member organization, they have a policy, but once they have a policy, they launch to it. For example, like if you have a mother's room set up and you have a policy, so you need to launch that policy, and you need to launch that policy to our employees. And in that launching session, you invited all employees to into the launching of the mother's room policy and receiving any questions that they might have. And then after that, the launching and, like all employees discussion section. So you also need to educate it, with a follow-up process to understand the purpose, to use it effectively, and the breastfeeding month to have the required support from the supervisor and from the colleges. That's my brief response on that. So before I go to Gozani, Kyon, as you are the expert on that, is there anything you would like to add, Kyon? Thank you.
Yes, I would like to add up a little bit, because we see that there is always a gap between, the policy and the policy which are being practical in in real life. So when we have the workplace program conducted in factories, we always have the baseline and endline survey, in which we screen through the policy of the factories, and we also ask the employee whether they are aware of that kind of policy and whether that policy are applicable in practice. So, and we saw a lot of gaps in that. So I think the first thing is that we need to, like you say, we have to effectively communicate with the employees. For example, we can use the check-in area where we can have the fingerprint. We can have some kind of poster in which we summarize the key policy of the factories for mother, for example, in that area. And we also have the lactation room, which is an area 100% fit for the policy about the maternity benefit of that company. And also, I think, like you already said, that running the breastfeeding support at work is a way that we communicate the leadership. So it meaning to say that there is not always it's not that every company they have that kind of commitment, and so along with asking for commitment, volunteer commitment from company, I think it is also very important for us to work with the government to put that regulation into the legal framework. For example, in Vietnam, we successfully advocate for the regulation that for the factories which has more than 1,000 female employees, they have to set up the lactation room. And we have the General Federation of Labor. We scan through, we have the survey of those companies each year. So we need to, we want to ensure that kind of policy is enforced in practice. Beside that, I think we also need to complement the good practice. For example, we have the I have to say, the really good model company that they go beyond the law regulation. They go beyond that because they really want to take care of the healthy of the welfare for their employees. So I think we need to, for example, now we have this discussion. So now we got to know about the KBZ bank. We got to know about the CD Mart. I think it is a very good example of how we can complement. We can give the role model for other companies to follow. So yeah, I think it's just going to add up to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyon. Carol, any last comments from Gozani on that? Because we know that KBZ Bank is a very good practice on that area. Gozani, over to you.
Yeah, sure. I think I agree with the point what Macho and Kyon mentioned here. Having policy is not, I feel that it's just the first step. You need to ensure that it's properly implemented after setting up a policy. I think for Myanmar case, I don't think we have such kind of regulations to have a sort of lactation rule. So I think it's more of the organizational commitment, but it's not just something you set up a policy and keep it aside. Communication is quite important, and I agree with that point. And for the KBZ case, we have 12,000 employees across the country, right? So that we need to ensure that we send the same message to all the employees across the country. So we use a different channel of communication. For example, like we use we call it KBZ Collab. This is an internal communication channel to all our employees. They can reach the message through the KBZ Collab, and we have an intranet which is accessible for all the employees, so they can read the policy through this intranet, and also we have a regular live capture session with the HR so that the employee can directly ask a question. They do have to our HR team directly, so that this being up, and also we upload our policy in the website so that for those who are interested in the policy, they can go and check in our company site. For the question, right, allocation of time to under the policy, we have 2 hours per day, which the mother can use the mother room, so that in the first 6 months, so that they can use either in the morning or the evening. And we communicated this message clearly to all the employees, and also requesting and encouraging the supervisor to be flexible on agreeing, allowing the time to the employee for the breastfeeding. After 6 months, they can use KBZ create our own early child daycare center, so that after 6 months to 3 years, they can use the childcare center. So that this is the practicing that the KBZ Bank currently implementing. So just want to share this experience to all of the people who attending the webinar here.
Thank you so much, Guzani and Kuen, for your insightful comments on that area. So my last comment on that, would be that, for that question, it's like, listen the feedback from your employees once you implemented the policy, as Kuen said, like with a baseline and inline survey, and communicate, and educate. Thank you. Go back to Akri.
Thank you so much, Macho, Guzani, and Ms. Kuen. Your information was very precious for our maybe the one who raised this concern as well. This is really appreciated. And to proceed with our program, so I would like to say a big thank you to our esteemed speakers of the day, starting from Ms. Kuen Lee, who gave out a keynote speech address at the beginning of our event, and of course Dr. Do Eason, who is no longer with us for now, but she also delivered a keynote speech, and Guzani from KBZ Bank, and also Mr. Anil, who is no longer with us at this time, and Imo from City Properties, and Ma'am Mimi from KBZ Bank, and Ma'am Imo from KBZ MS. And also, of course, our audience who has been with us until this time for participating in this enriching roundtable talk. So in conclusion, it's evident that, as Major has mentioned before, supporting working mothers, especially breastfeeding mothers, is not just about having a policy, but a commitment towards workplace gender equality, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I believe that today's the experiences and insights that have been shared today will be undoubtedly helpful to other organizations, and inspires all the attending organizations to take similar steps as like KBZ Bank, KBZ MS, and City Properties, and contribute to a more equitable and inclusive workplace. So lastly, I would like to say thank you to all our speakers and attendees for being with us until this time after 2 long hours. So for all other attendees who are interested in receiving technical advice and support from us, from BCGE, you can reach out to info@mbcge.com or learn more at www.mbcge.com. That's all we have for today. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this meaningful roundtable talk. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.